Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're opening up a topic that, well, it sounds almost philosophical, doesn't it? But it's backed by some increasingly fascinating data. We're calling it the silent conversation. This is the kind of radical proposal that your inner consciousness isn't just passively taking things in through your senses. It's actually like a constant multidimensional broadcaster interacting with the universe.
Right, and the key part, the really exciting part, is that our sources suggest you can actually learn to consciously speak back.
Exactly. So our mission here is to be your guides through some, well, pretty eclectic source material. It's a real mix. We've got ancient wisdom, think non-dual philosophy, meditative practices alongside high-tech modern science.
Yeah, things like EEG brain scans, heart rate variability studies, even discussions touching on quantum theory.
And we're trying to pull out the core knowledge, how things like intention, awareness, and maybe the state called coherence might create real, measurable, nonverbal communication channels.
Okay, but if we're going to talk about communication that goes beyond the body, or maybe even beyond the present moment, we have to start somewhere specific.
Yeah.
We need to kind of ditch our usual idea of language first.
You mean like how we talk now? One word after another, building meaning step by step.
Exactly that. That's linear communication. But what we're exploring here, this nonlinear communication the sources talk about, it's totally different. They describe it as information just arriving instantly, not as words strung together.
Sounds like a download.
Kinda. More like a dense block of concept. Think of it like someone smearing a whole blob of ink on a page at once. All the meaning is there, together.
Okay, so if I get this ink smear of knowing, my conscious brain then has to do the work. It has to translate that dense, non-sequential blob back into words and thoughts I can actually process.
Precisely. And that translation process, that's often what we feel as intuition. That sudden flash of insight. Or a gut feeling that just appears, fully formed, without any logical steps leading up to it. Some sources even link this specifically to the pineal gland. They describe it almost like the body's multi-dimensional signal translator.
The translate, right?
Yeah, an organ may be capable of picking up information that bypasses the normal, slower brain pathways altogether.
Okay, let's dig into that internal system first. Let's start with part one, the inner transmitter. Because we're always taught, brain's the boss, right?
Right, the command center.
But these sources keep pointing somewhere else. They keep focusing on the heart.
And the finding is pretty dramatic, really. The heart isn't just a pump. It's actually, in effect, a little brain.
A little brain? Seriously?
Yeah, it has its own complex nervous system, about 40,000 specialized neurites. This network can process information, remember things, even make decisions locally, right there in the heart.
Wait a minute. If the heart can process info and send signals to the main brain, signals that guide it, regulate it, that sounds less like a servant and more like a partner, like a constant, really powerful two-way conversation happening inside us.
It is, and the key is making sure that conversation is, constructive, not conflicted or chaotic.
Which brings us to coherence.
Exactly, psychophysiological coherence. That's the state where the body's big systems, heart rhythm, breathing, nervous system, all sync up, harmonize. And it's not just about being relaxed, it's deeper than that. It's a very specific, measurable state.
Right, and you measure it usually with heart rate variability, HRV. You can literally see it on the graph, can't you? When you're stressed, it's all jagged and chaotic. But when you hit coherence, that rhythm smooths out into this beautiful, regular sine wave pattern.
That ordered rhythm, that sine wave, it's driven by sustained positive emotions.
Yeah.
Specifically, things like genuine appreciation, care, gratitude. Negative emotions, on the other hand, they create disorder. Physiological noise, basically. Incoherence.
So getting into coherence is like optimizing the whole system, turning up the signal, turning down the noise.
You got it. Maximizing efficiency.
And here's where it gets really practical for you listening. This isn't just about feeling good, though that's part of it. Research directly links this coherent state to measurable cognitive boosts. You actually get sharper.
Yeah, there was one study, pretty significant, showed subjects practicing coherence techniques improved their long-term episodic memory quality by 12.6%.
12.6%. That's not trivial. That's the difference between forgetting a name or a key detail versus having it right there when you need it.
Exactly, and it goes further. Coherence seems to directly enhance intuition. Studies show that as the heart rhythm calms down and becomes regular, intuitive thinking skills actually improve. It's like that clearer signal allows that nonlinear ink smear input to be translated more effectively by the brain.
Okay, but then there's the really challenging bit, the bit about time. Tell us about the evidence linking the heart to, well, precognition, knowing things before they happen.
Yeah, this is probably one of the most startling claims in the sources. There's evidence suggesting the heart appears to get intuitive information about something that's about to happen, an emotional event, even a physical one,
Get it before.
before the brain registers it, sometimes just milliseconds before the event even occurs. It leads to this hypothesis that maybe the heart is tapping into some kind of field of information that isn't bound by our normal understanding of time and space.
Like an antenna.
Sort of.
Mm-hmm.
An antenna coupled to something non-local.
Okay, that fundamentally changes how we think about trusting your gut, doesn't it? So if we can regulate our internal coherence through emotion, what happens if we go deeper? What if we remove the I that's doing the regulating? That takes us to part 2.
Yeah.
Dissolving the self through non-dual awareness.
Exactly. We shift from regulating our physiological state to actually changing the fundamental sense of who or what is even having the experience. And the usual path here is focused practice, typically meditation. Studies show even novices can achieve measurable brain changes. Things like a global increase of 29% in theta waves that's linked to deep states, memory access, and an 11% jump in gamma power, which is associated with high-level processing.
What does that indicate?
It's seen as evidence of a shift towards a more integrative mode of consciousness, things working together differently.
So for someone listening who's maybe new to this idea, what exactly is non-dual awareness? Can you define it simply?
Okay, simply put, it's a conscious experience where the line between the observer, the I, and what's being observed just dissolves. The feeling of being a separate self, what researchers call the epistemic agent model, it just vanishes. It's not a belief system. It's about the raw experience, the phenomenology.
The first-person accounts are just fascinating. How do people actually describe it when that sense of a central me disappears?
The descriptions are remarkably consistent, actually. People report looking for the who that's seeing or feeling or thinking and realizing, well, there's just thinking happening. They're seeing. But no one is doing it. It's just occurring.
Yeah.
There's often a profound sense of unity, or maybe wholeness is a better word that sources use, rather than just oneness, peace. One report described hearing a bird singing nearby, but there was no sense of an observer hearing it. The sound just was singing through everything, no separation. It's described as experiencing existence as such, pure being.
That sounds incredibly intense. Is it a positive state or frightening? What's the emotional feel?
It's often accompanied by something called the emotional quiescence mode, which is described as a positive hyperstate,
Okay.
characterized by deep internal quietness, peace, a feeling of increased connectedness. Now, physiologically, it's interesting because the heart rate variability becomes very low, but it's distinct from negative states like intense anger, which also show low HRV.
How is it distinct?
Anger is hyperarousal, driven by stress hormones. Quiescence seems to be a state of deep positive integration. The boundaries are gone, but the system is profoundly peaceful, not stressed.
Okay, that shift from a bounded self to this boundless awareness. That feels like the pivot point. If our inner experience can reach that non-dual state and our physiology coherence can be tuned by positive intention, then the next question is huge. Can we project that intention outwardly? Can we actually speak to the universe?
Which brings us to part 3.
Right. And this is where we get into the territory of distant healing intention, or DHI. The whole point of DHI therapies is basically to test if purely mental activity-focused intention can somehow affect a remote system, breaking the usual rules of space and maybe even time.
And we have to be really careful here, approach it impartially, because this challenges conventional science head-on. So what does the actual data say? Do these remote intention studies work?
Well, the results are definitely mixed, but also highly intriguing. Let's start with the lab studies, the proof of principle stuff. These controlled experiments often show small but statistically significant positive effects on isolated targets like cells or even random number generators.
Small but significant, yeah. One big meta-analysis looked at 36 lab experiments and found a consistent positive effect size. Cohen's d was 0.106. Small, yes, but consistently there across studies.
Okay, so something seems to be happening in the controlled lab setting, even if it's subtle. What about when you scale it up to real-world clinical settings, like studies on prayer for hospital patients?
That's where it gets much murkier. Clinical efficacy is harder to pin down consistently. Some reviews find positive trends like intercessory prayer studies showing an average effect size correlation around RE.30.
Which sounds reasonably strong.
It does, but when you filter for only the highest quality studies, the rigorous randomized controlled trials, the number of studies showing a significant benefit drops way down. One review found only about 11% of those top-tier trials actually favored DHI over the placebo or control group.
So it suggests maybe the effect is real, but perhaps very subtle, easily drowned out by other factors. Or maybe we don't fully understand the conditions needed for it to work reliably.
All possibilities. But we can't talk about DHI without mentioning the most, frankly, outrageous finding, the one that messes with time itself. You have to mention the Leibovici study.
Ah, yes, the retroactive prayer study. Explain that one.
Okay, so this study really pushed the boundaries. Researchers looked at DHI not just across space, but across time. They took records of patients who had bloodstream infections years earlier. Then they randomly assigned some of those past patients to a group that received intercessory prayer now, retroactively.
So people were praying in, say, the year 2000 for patients who were sick back in 1995.
Exactly. Praying for them years after their hospitalization had already finished.
And the result?
The published data suggested that the patients who received the retroactive prayer had statistically significantly shorter hospital stays and shorter durations of fever compared to the control group who weren't prayed for retroactively.
Okay, from a standard scientific view, that's impossible, right? Effect preceding cause. It's usually dismissed as a statistical anomaly, maybe a flaw in the data, something like that.
That's the conventional explanation, yes. A fluke.
But if DHI is tapping into some non-local field, as the theory goes, then this study, if valid, implies that field isn't constrained by linear time. It operates outside our normal forward flow.
It really forces you to consider non-conventional mechanisms, doesn't it?
No.
The core theoretical challenge for DHI is how mind or intention could act outside the physical brain and body.
And this is where quantum physics often comes into the discussion.
It does. People point to quantum entanglement, the fact that two particles can be linked instantly, non-locally, no matter the distance. That's experimentally proven. Non-local connection is a feature of reality. Whether consciousness uses it is the big question.
And some sources go even further, suggesting maybe the mind interacts with broader energy systems, like the idea of an Earth crystalline grid holding memory, or light codes like the Sri Yantra symbol affecting brain coherence just by looking at it.
Yeah, those ideas are definitely out there in the source material. But while we explore these, it's crucial to keep our critical thinking hats on. We need to contrast them with concepts that have been pretty thoroughly debunked.
Like what?
Like the pseudoscientific idea of water memory, the claim that water remembers substances diluted out of existence. That's been widely rejected by science because it basically breaks known laws of chemistry and physics.
Right. So that distinction is important. We need to differentiate between phenomena that are weird and challenging but have some lab data, however small or debated,
Like remote intention.
versus ideas that lack credible mechanisms or verifiable evidence.
Like the homeopathic dilution memory claims.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That filter is essential for navigating this territory responsibly.
So the takeaway on DHI seems to be intriguing hints, subtle effects in labs, messy results clinically, and some truly bizarre findings like the retroactive study that force us to question basic assumptions.
I think that's fair.
Ah.
The evidence, however subtle or contested, nudges us to consider that the mind-brain relationship might be more flexible than we assume. It opens the door, just a crack maybe, to the possibility of real interaction beyond our skin.
Okay, let's try to pull this all together then. We started this deep dive with that inner conversation, right? Heart-brain coherence, seeing how positive emotion optimizes our internal state.
Yeah, tuning the instrument.
Then we went deeper into non-dual awareness, where the self, the player of the instrument, seems to dissolve into the music itself.
A profound shift in perspective.
And finally, we explored the really edge of science idea of projecting intention outwards, maybe even across time, speaking back to the universe.
And the common thread, the practical thing running through all these different sources, ancient practice, modern science, speculative theory, it seems to be the power of active internal change.
How so?
Well, whether it's consciously cultivating positive feelings to build coherence, or practicing intentional stillness to glimpse beyond the ego, or even just asking that core question, who is doing the thinking? It seems our consciousness isn't just passive. It can actively shape our state, maybe even reality. This knowledge isn't just for intellectual curiosity. The real value comes when you try to apply it, to actively work with your own internal state.
Which leaves us with a final provocative thought for you, the listener, to maybe explore on your own. If consciousness can drive these kinds of multidimensional attributes, if it can potentially influence systems beyond the body, then what's the true source of your own everyday creative thoughts? How much of what you experience as inspiration in art, music, problem solving, even just the good idea, how much of that is your rational mind working things out step by step? And how much might actually be that nonlinear, instantaneous ink smear language of intuition being received and translated through your own, hopefully coherent, finely tuned physiology?
Something to definitely mull over.
Indeed. Until our next deep dive.